Nikolaj Ehlers did not wait for the crowd to settle into their seats at Lenovo Center on Tuesday night before burying the puck in the back of the net. The red siren wailed, the Carolina Hurricanes' faithful roared, and Game 1 of the 2026 Stanley Cup Final was instantly ripped wide open. The air inside the arena in Raleigh, North Carolina, was already thick with the humidity of early June and the desperate anticipation of a fan base that had waited 2 decades to see their team return to this stage. Ehlers' lightning-fast opening goal sent a shockwave through the building, a thunderous declaration that the Hurricanes were ready to defend their home ice. But across the rink, wearing the gold and gray, stood a team that has made a habit of shattering expectations. The Vegas Golden Knights do not rattle easily, and over the course of the next 60 minutes, they would orchestrate a stunning 5-4 victory, snatching home ice advantage and setting the tone for a championship series defined by pure, unyielding grit. To understand the gravity of this singular Tuesday night, you have to look at the collision course these two franchises have been on since October. This year's final marks only the second time since the NHL introduced its divisional playoff format in 2014 that 2 regular season division winners have met in the championship series. This is a heavyweight bout in every sense of the term. The Carolina Hurricanes steamrolled their way through the Eastern Conference. They arrived at Game 1 having dropped only a single game across the first 3 rounds of the playoffs. Their defensive structure, marshaled by head coach Rod Brind'Amour, has been an impenetrable fortress. Brind'Amour, of course, is the living embodiment of Carolina hockey. 20 years ago, in 2006, he captained the Hurricanes to their first and only Stanley Cup. Now, standing behind the bench, his jaw set and his eyes tracing every shift, he is attempting to guide this new generation to the summit. For the Hurricanes, this series is a matter of destiny, an opportunity to close a 20-year circle. On the other side of the ice, the Vegas Golden Knights operate under a completely different mythology. Entering the league as an expansion franchise in the 2017-2018 season, Vegas was supposed to endure years of growing pains. Instead, they reached the final in their inaugural year, claimed their first Stanley Cup in 2023, and have now returned for their 3rd final appearance in less than a decade. But this 2026 iteration of the Golden Knights has a distinct, weathered texture. They are guided by John Tortorella, a coach whose fiery reputation is matched only by his tactical brilliance. Tortorella famously led the Tampa Bay Lightning to glory in 2004, and now, steering Vegas, he has reportedly tapped into a gentler, more calculated side. His ability to fuse the offensive flair of playoff MVP candidate Mitch Marner, who leads the postseason with 21 points, and the playmaking vision of Jack Eichel with a suffocating defensive system has made Vegas a terrifying opponent. Their journey to Game 1 was punctuated by a shocking display of dominance in the Western Conference Final. The Colorado Avalanche entered the postseason as the President's Trophy winners, boasting the best regular season record and the most potent offensive arsenal in the league. Yet the Golden Knights dispatched them with a ruthless 4-game sweep. Vegas dismantled the Avalanche entirely, stripping away their speed and forcing them into corners. The momentum from that sweep carried directly into Raleigh for Game 1. After Ehlers opened the scoring, the building was electric, but the Golden Knights simply absorbed the blow and went to work. The game quickly devolved into a relentless, physical chess match. Players crashed into the boards, sticks shattered, and the puck moved end-to-end with dizzying speed. Frederik Andersen, the Carolina goaltender who entered the series as the favorite for the Conn Smythe Trophy with a staggering .931 save percentage, faced a barrage of rubber. Tortorella's squad threw bodies in front of the net, crowding the crease and testing Andersen's legendary composure. Every time Carolina surged forward, pushing the pace with their transition game, Vegas responded with heavy, punishing hits along the glass. The scoring went back and forth, a seesaw of emotion that left the capacity crowd gasping. Jack Eichel danced through the neutral zone, displaying the smooth, effortless skating that has defined his career, threading passes through impossibly tight seams. Mitch Marner, an absolute force all spring, read the ice like a grandmaster, finding quiet areas in the Hurricanes' defensive zone. Despite Carolina's vaunted penalty kill, Vegas found ways to exploit the microscopic breakdowns in their structure. By the time the third period arrived, the score was deadlocked. The ice was deeply rutted, the players' jerseys soaked with sweat, and the margin for error had evaporated completely. The tension in Lenovo Center was suffocating. Every dump-in, every face-off win, every blocked shot was met with a visceral reaction from the crowd. The Hurricanes leaned heavily on their top-line trio of Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, and Andrei Svechnikov, who had struggled to click earlier in the postseason, but desperately sought redemption on the biggest stage. They threw everything at the Vegas net, attempting to crack the armor of the Golden Knights' defense. But the defining moment of the night, the sequence that will be replayed endlessly in the days to come, belonged to Tomas Hertl. With the clock ticking down late in the final period and the threat of overtime looming, the Golden Knights established possession in the offensive zone. A broken play along the half wall resulted in a loose puck sliding toward the slot. Hertl, reading the play perfectly, crashed down from the high circle. He didn't hesitate. Loading up all his weight onto his stick, Hertl rifled a vicious wrist shot through a maze of bodies. The puck eclipsed Anderson's vision just long enough to evade his catching glove, pinging off the iron and snapping into the twine. The Vegas bench erupted. Hertl was mobbed by his teammates, their gold helmets converging in a chaotic mass of celebration. The Lenovo Center fell into a stunned, breathless silence, save for the frantic cheers of the small pocket of Vegas fans high in the upper bowl. Carolina pulled Anderson in the final minute, adding an extra attacker in a desperate bid to force overtime. They swarmed the Vegas zone, firing pucks from every angle, but Tortorella's men collapsed around their own net, sacrificing their bodies to block shots and clear the defensive zone. The final horn sounded, cementing the 5-4 victory for the Golden Knights. Game 1 was a brutal, beautiful exhibition of everything that makes playoff hockey the most agonizing and exhilarating spectacle in sports. Vegas survived the early storm, countered the Hurricanes' speed, and executed when the game hung in the balance. As the players skated off the ice, battered but resolute, the reality of this series set in. Carolina, the dominant force of the East, now finds itself trailing on home ice, facing a Golden Knights team that seems impervious to pressure. Rod Brind'Amour will undoubtedly spend the next 48 hours analyzing the tape, searching for the tactical adjustments needed to crack Tortorella's system before Game 2 on Thursday. The narrative is firmly established, the relentless Hurricane against the immovable Knights. The 2026 Stanley Cup Final has officially arrived, and if Tuesday night was any indication, this series will demand everything these players have to give. Send this episode to a hockey fan who appreciates the grueling, physical theater of the Stanley Cup playoffs.